because we published, beloved. Oh, I am here with Mix Shayla Lawson. I am so excited because we published. We published. Let me just tell you something though to start this off. I saw this cover and I said, "Who is that fine Black human being on this cover?" I did not realize it was you until I followed you on social media. I was like, "That's a beautiful cover. That's just," he's like, "That's just beautiful. It's just beautiful." And it took me a while to actually find you online and discover this is you living fully in your body and in your truth in this beautiful book, How to Live Free in a Dangerous World. So I just want to welcome you to the podcast. We publish, beloved. This whole podcast is about exciting new projects, but also the process of getting to this point. So I first want to congratulate you for getting this book out into the world, and I want to hear from you how you got here. How did we get this book in our hands?
And I want to start and share with your audience something I've actually not had the chance to share before, which
Yeah,
is looking at that cover. One of the things that's sparking for me now, that picture. I went out into the desert with a group of non-binary queer folk and took that picture
yeah.
a few days after I was assaulted.
My goodness.
And I share that because, as queer people, it's part of the repertoire. I had been assaulted by a neighbor of a friend of mine while I was visiting them out of town, and it scared me. It also rocked me to my core because it was at the time when I was transitioning into my non-binary identity. So it had been a while since I'd had to deal with having a Black femme body in the world because I don't go out much, like I go out for somebody's party and that's it. And I had on my party clothes and
Hmm.
I was presenting in a much more like sensual femme way. We were,
Hmm.
because we were out, and so to have that happen, taking that picture was an act of me reclaiming my identity and also reclaiming what it means to be a queer Black femme, non-binary
Yeah.
person, what it means for me to be a Black woman. And in working on the book and getting to the point where it became How to Live Free in a Dangerous World, my goal was to make it a survival guide for the
Mm.
times that we're living in. But how do you do that and keep it cute? And also figure out ways to make it subversive, how do you get that under the radar? And that picture is just one of the many ways that that's happening because I wanted also to make the statement of here is a queer Black femme, non-binary survivor who's also crippled. So in the picture, the braces that I have on my fingers are
Yeah.
actually to keep my fingers from dislocating. But
Really?
again,
Here.
like keep it cute. Yep.
Wow.
And on one of my thumbnails, there's actually a picture painted of like a brown Frida Kahlo, because Frida Kahlo is a big
Yeah.
ancestor in the book as well. So
Yeah.
it's just nice to be able to work with symbolism on different levels in both the literature and then also in the visual medium.
Mm. Wow. That gives so much different meaning to this image. I mean, it already looked incredibly powerful, right? But to hear now the context that you were working through is incredible. So thank you for sharing that here. And I'm so sorry that happened to you. I'm also a survivor, and I understand when you say it's part of the repertoire. That's just such an interesting way to say it, but it makes so much sense to me to hear you describe it that way. I love this book. I want you to know that I was in the nail shop. I was getting my nails done, and I'm going, "Mm."
Hey,
I was like, "Mm, mm."
yes.
And my technician said, like, "Are you okay? Are you?" I'm like, "Oh, no, no, I'm just listening. I'm listening to a book. I'm listening to a
Hmm.
book." And so I really want to hear from you. We're gonna talk a little bit about the book in particular, but I want to talk about you, the writer, the author, and how you come to this work. So when was your first ever book released out into the world, and how did you know that you were meant to write it?
Also, I want to just say how kismet that you were with this book in a nail salon, since
Or
the
what?
opening line is that acrylic, the sound
That's
of
right.
acrylic nail polish
Cooking on the
clacking on
table,
keys.
yeah.
That is the sound of Black femme
It
poetics.
is. And I read it and I said,
Literally.
"Mm," and I heard it, as I was listening, I said, "Mm, yes, I know that sound," you know?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I never like having my nails done more than when I'm working on something new. I'm like, let me get in the shit. So my first book was published in 2013, and
Mm,
that was a speed education on a human being. And really, my whole career is a trajectory toward liberation. It is this constant
mm,
conversation of how I'm discovering myself in spaces. In fact, when I think about a speed education, there's actually a poem in there that I wrote when I was 17 called "I'm a Pretty Girl" about the first time that I encountered survivorhood
mm,
when I was in high school. Fortunately, it was a situation that was scary and did not end in but the fear itself, being 16, being at summer camp, having a group of boys threaten me and to be saved by somebody accidentally, so
mm,
poetry has always been this guiding force for me in terms of how we manage political good and how we steer ourselves toward empowerment.
mhm,
So I wanted this book to be a reflection of that journey by making it prose, but making it prose that is very much lyrical and poetry worthy.
mhm.
So it's very much a nod to my beginnings to go from a speed education and human being to how to live free in a dangerous world.
Yeah.
I'm on a journey.
I love that. I love that, and so, I mean, okay, so how long this particular book, I don't wanna give too many spoilers, but, it follows you along so many different places, physical places and personal, emotional, mental places in your life. How long did it take you to bring all of this together in one book?
That's an interesting question because of what the journey of the book was. I knew that we needed a book like this 10 years ago is when I first
Mm,
started pitching it. But at the time, everybody kept telling me that the idea that a Black travel memoir was something that had appeal to people and we know the jargon.
yeah,
Anyway, and
yeah,
it what really helped is the rise of social media within that time, the fact that there was much more visibility for the fact that Black people across the diaspora are everywhere, are traveling
that's
everywhere,
right.
and also that that there's exchange happening there, financial, cultural. So the cachet had changed in terms of
Yeah,
what conversation the book could fit into. But I I blazed the trail. I had to fight hard to get to the point where I would find someone who would take the international journey that I have been on for my lifetime, really. If I start
yeah,
putting a number on it, that actually doesn't start to make sense. That
yeah.
like to validate the fact that my lifestyle was possible was
Mm,
quite challenging. Um, and I knew that it was an important thing to do because I knew how many of us out here had these very diversified relationships to travel, to family, to
yeah,
culture, to identity,
yeah,
um, to health, you know? And that all of these stories deserved a proper place in the canon and not just the isolation of here is this person's cancer memoir or here is this person's moment to go to Africa. It's like, no, all of it. All of it is
yeah,
one like, all of it is one lifetime. All of it is one story, particularly if you are Black and femme.
that's
It's
right.
impossible for us to live in one mode. We are change in its essence. It's just
Yeah,
the part and parcel of who we are generationally and ancestrally. And I wanted to write in a way that really paid deference to that transformation that happens as we move from space to space, journey to journey, and think about the fact that traveling is really not just a matter of this capitalist mode of being able to cross borders. Traveling is something that we do as a means of achieving liberation.
mm,
It's part of the process of liberating ourselves is traveling because so much
mhm,
of the ability to travel comes from the space that you have made in your mind.
that's
You
right,
have to recover from so much trauma in order to get to a place where you can commune with other people.
that's right,
And ultimately, the goal is not just being able to commune in this realm, but the ways that we're able to commune beyond that, you know? And so this was a book about opening up that space in my world, in my mind, in my worldview, where I could start to commune in the ways that we're meant to as Black people, starting to commune with our spirit, starting
mm,
to commune more deeply with ancestral connections. The journeys that I've been on since publishing the book have just been incredible to me. And it all became because of the fact that when I write a book, it's usually this nascent stage of me challenging a way that I'm starting to show up in the world. So when I
Yeah.
wrote I Think I'm Ready to See Frank Ocean, I was in the midst. I was a church girl going through a straight divorce to a white man.
Wow.
We've all
Mhm.
been there. Everybody's like everybody's done it. Because the thing is, it's so easy to get yourself a white husband. Like you just show up and you're like, how the fuck is all my furniture in here? Where'd this ring come from? I don't even, we have a cat. Like this is,
Oh my god.
and then, all of a sudden I'm out and I'm like, I'm free. Who do I want to be? Everybody looks delicious.
Not delicious, child. Why can I relate so hard though?
Fuck thirsty. I was just hungry. I was just like,
Famished.
I am a wolf. I want everything, everything.
I love that. And I love that also because it comes through in the book, right? Like, I think even and it was so resonant for me as a non-binary person who felt freer after my church life, after I put that all behind me and was like, "Wait a minute, I can do whatever the hell I want."
What?
Right? Like and I love that about the way that you tell the story too because you're reading it, and so it's like, it's a certain way of, like it's almost like having a conversation with a friend, and I really appreciate that you call it a decolonial memoir, right? Because it's the way that you are working to decolonize your own thinking around your body and around your love and your relating and your gender and your identity. So I just wanna know, you know, writing a story like this is, not popular right now. That's a nice I guess that's a nice way to say it.
No, no, girl, don't decolonize. Like, no, here's the thing. Let me tell you, don't write a book. You can call it a decolonial memoir, and then people actually find out that you fucking decolonized. Like, ain't nobody want to see it. Ain't nobody like,
And I'm trying to learn that because you did it, and so
come
what was
on
that
over,
like?
come on over.
What was
Like,
that like for you?
it's fantastic,
Mm,
but it is scary. And the fear for me, like the biggest fear that I had to overcome is how much I love Black women
mm,
and how much my decolonization terrifies them.
mm.
Because the people that I respect, the people that I love, and I started running into that when it came to This Is Major, because This Is Major, I wrote, so the way that my canon has evolved is that we've got Frank Ocean, where I'm looking very much at the love of like Black boy culture. Then I've got This Is Major, where I'm looking at my love of Black girlhood culture,
Yeah.
and then we have, How to Live Free in a Dangerous World, which is what it meant for me to love myself as a middle-aged Black woman and finally come out to the world as the person that I had always been, which
Yeah.
is this very super terrestrial being, like
Yeah.
that's who we are. It's
Yeah.
just that's just DNA.
Yes.
But we're not supposed to say that. We're not
Yeah.
supposed to say we're special. We're not supposed to say we're
Yeah.
exceptional. We're not supposed to say we come from exceptional lines of family and privilege and courage and spirituality and heart. We're supposed to, slow down, be humble. And I'm like, for who, for what? I don't have time. I got a whole world to see. I got people, and what I noticed when it came to This Is Major as and the process, people loved that book. People fell in love with that book and assumed that they were with me. And then in getting to know me, realized that my identity laid somewhere in between those two texts that I had written.
Mm,
Or just, and for people who weren't looking at them in concert, lie just outside of what it meant to be a Black girl.
mm,
And that was very frightening for them. It took me a while to understand that as process and language because I took it as me personally being a disappointment
mm,
that something was wrong with me. But that was
mhm.
so much of what I was carrying on from church life in this
Yeah.
idea of like me as a queer person, that there was something that was off center, as opposed to the fact that our queerness is actually very central to the idea of what spirituality is. Because if we're ever to get to the new world, if we're ever to get to the evolution of the species, we're all going to have to be purple. We're
Yeah,
all going to have to be right,
right.
real comfortable with every single avenue and aspect of ourselves.
That's
So
right.
part of how I started to get there is I was, I was living in LA. I had gotten a studio development deal to turn Major into a TV series, then found out I had EDS, then, it turned into its own cinematic movie that, okay, I had pitched the book, I had pitched Major, and I knew Major was special. I told my agent at the time that, we're gonna need a TV and film agent because the people are gonna be coming. And she's, you know,
Relax.
Candy is like, whatever. And I'm like, I know my shit.
I said what I
I know my
said.
shit. I know these people are like they're gonna be lining the fuck up for this. And they did. And I had no, and I say this because I want people to hear it as new writers. You know how good your shit is. You
Right.
know what your shit is.
That's right.
And like say it, speak that truth, let it be known because the minute that you sign up for that, what you call in is going to show up. And so people lined up at the door for Major, people that I would never have imagined meeting. And
Yes.
then at the same time, though, I was doing all these interviews, interview. All these people wanted to take it. I was getting up in the morning and I was falling out of bed.
Mm,
I went to 7 neurologists
mm,
in a year. Nobody could figure out what was going on with me. And so I started doing a lot of traveling that was covertly about me trying to find health answers.
mm.
And I'm in the midst of, you know, making the biggest deal of my life and had to make a choice because the person I really wanted to like my dream angel came to the table, which is you're not supposed to say this kind of shit. But anyway, I like Deborah Martin Chase is
Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh.
the hero of all my lifetimes. Like just, flat out my hero. And I had to make the choice between working with her or moving back to the West Coast where I could get better medical coverage.
Mm,
Because I had been to every single neurologist in New York City and they had told me they didn't know what was wrong with me.
wow.
And then I was living in Brooklyn, but I was teaching in Massachusetts, was talking to, some of the best doctors in the country out of Massachusetts, and they told me that I had 5 years to live. So I get to LA and um yeah, that's the news that I get. I'm
Yes.
standing in a pool in LA, and I talk about this in the chapter on sex.
Yeah.
I'm waking up that morning to just do my regular stuff. I had my classes to teach in the morning. I had development meetings in the afternoon. I wake up at 6 a.m. and my left eye is dislodged.
Mm. Child.
I'm a black woman. So you know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna figure out a way to make this all work. I'm sitting there like, okay, so
Yeah.
everybody, we're gonna have to do our meetings a little bit differently
Right.
today.
'Cause black folk, black we'll figure it out.
Well, I'm like, I'm gonna turn this around. I'm gonna make this work. But I want to also say that that was one of the most, in the moment, it was the most devastating experience in my life. I was going through these series of unfortunate events that were just devastation upon devastation. And that moment of I am already queer, which
Yeah.
is already sending a lot of red flags and signals to people that I can feel them lifting
Yeah.
up their haunches. Now I'm
Yeah.
disabled.
Yeah.
How do I
Yeah.
do this?
Yeah.
But what was beautiful for me in that moment of my eye dislodging is that I got to see what is under the surface of how brilliantly and intelligently we are made. So when I woke up with my eye in the position that it was, I saw the matrix.
Mm.
I was a Black woman in academia, transitioning to also working in another very unforgiving field,
Yeah.
trying to blaze trails for queer people, for Black women, for our families, trying to make all these avenues work out for communities. And I was always going to put my body last. I was
Mm.
going to let things fall apart as they needed to and just repair them with scotch tape as Oprah had taught me. Like that was just the way that I knew how to do
Yeah.
things. And when I saw what I saw, it was my body telling me wake up,
Uh-huh.
you are going to die. But
Uh,
here are the things that you can do to save your life.
huh.
It put together a network of all of the people that I knew and the
Uh,
connections that I had and all of the worlds that I had been a part of and the people who loved me. Because I think often as Black women, we put out so much love and so much encouragement and so much power into the universe without ever asking it to be returned to
that's
us.
right. That's right.
And we let it disperse in our consciousness in this way of like, oh my God, something's happening to me. I'm the only person
That's
who
right.
can deal with this. And my brain was like, no, no, no.
Mm, mhm.
You better cash in every fucking receipt
Mhm.
right now. Like,
Mhm.
and we're not even cashing them. We're not even cashing in all of them. This is just the TJ Maxx file. Like,
Mhm.
we still got, we still got like the Nordstroms and
Yes.
Macy's to go.
Macy child,
Like,
yes.
don't get, don't let us get to the Louis Vuitton and the Comme des Garçons. 'Cause
Why can I relate so hard? I'm trying to tell you.
but it was challenging because I was trying to save my life, but approaching it the way that I did, which was ultimately spiritually, it saved
Yeah,
my life.
yeah.
And so spirituality is such a big part of the book. I think about the chapter that I wrote on God, about what it
Yeah,
means to know that phrase,
yes,
like the Black woman is God, because we hear it
yes.
all the time. But then, like, how do we break that down? How do we make that make sense based on the ways that we have to fight to be treated like people?
People, humans,
And
yeah.
maybe that's not the fight. Maybe the issue is that we will not be treated like people in this realm because we're divine.
That's right. That's right.
Maybe it's
That's
just
right.
that simple, it can be. And that's the level of liberation that this process helped me come to. So what happened is all of a sudden, I had this beautiful luxury apartment on the side of Venice Beach and nothing to do but just, meditate. Just like just hang out and watch the sunset and
Yeah.
meditate and reflect on my life and love being a human being. And that's the space that I got to write How to Live Free in a Dangerous World. A lot of the time, I was so sick that I would just have to lay my phone on my chest and
Mm.
I would just be very patient with myself. Some of the chapter, because a lot of the book was recorded. I love that you mentioned that it sounds like it's
Wow,
a
yeah.
conversation because it
Yeah,
is. It was me laying down. Some of the recordings were like 10 hours long because of the fact that I would just sit and I would just be like, I'm not going to pressure myself. I'm going to go in and out. I'm going to take my nap. I'm going to keep the recording on just in case like I wake up out of it and something
yeah.
pops.
You know what? And so it's so funny because there's so many bars in this book. There's so many bars in this book. But for some reason, what has been resting in my spirit is that scene where you are hula hooping and you are like the master hula hooper, and your partner at the time is like, well, I want to be a part of this, and no one cares what this person is doing, but everyone's like, how you learn how to wiggle your hips like that? And I don't know why it's sat with me. I think it's just such a Black girl experience. Hula hooping is such a Black girl experience. But then you said at the end, you said, I never hoop for anyone else again. I always hoop for myself. And I said, you know what, child, I can't deal with this book today. I can't. And I think that really struck me as that's what the book really feels like it's about. It's like you're saying, I wrote this, sure, you all can listen to it. You'll all enjoy it. But I wrote this for myself. I wrote this so that I could move fuller and freer in my body and to show you what that looks like. I want to hear more about how you were able to get a publisher, a big five publisher, to get behind that story.
So I had not been allowed just the free circumference of who we are and how we can
Mm,
move. And to find that in my body through hula hooping, for my family to see me hula hooping in the condo that I used to share with my husband and
yeah.
see me moving freely and happily in a space that we hadn't been told was possible. It's like, well, after your marriage ends, you're just spoiled milk. And I was like, no, this is just the beginning. And then to go to
Mm,
Jamaica and to be given the deference of the diaspora appreciating my journey through movement.
mhm.
and understanding that I was connected,
Mhm.
that they were proud of the ways
Mhm.
that I moved,
Mhm.
you know? And that's the Ubuntu part of it is like, let's never think that this is about any of us individually and what we achieve because of what we've had to do to get here.
Yeah.
This is about us.
Yeah.
You know, it is at every moment, every one of your successes, Jen, like I applaud as if it were my I feel it in
Same.
my body. I feel, like,
Same.
when I saw you Pin America long listed, when I saw your book come out, when I saw, when I saw you like clips of you speaking to BFF last year, I feel it as if I'm
Yeah.
there, I jealousy for what? For who?
Why?
Like
Right.
for why? Because look at what we've
That's
done.
right.
Like, yeah. So it is always, always, always for me a reflection of all of
Mm.
us. You know,
I love
that is definitely the way that I hold on it
I
too.
love that. I wanna hear about I'm always in bookstores. And so, I bumped into your book in a bookstore and I said that's when I first said, "Oh my gosh, this is stunning. I need to know what this book is about." And I wanna hear about the promotion process, the tour. Like, how did you go about getting your book into the right hands?
So first, I'll answer your question about how did I manage to pull this under the wool of the big five. Well, I'll tell you.
I wanna know.
Um, so by the time I got to, okay, so here is this book that I want to write. I pitched How to Live Free in a Dangerous World as a book called It's On.
Mm.
And I actually told everyone. This is what's really interesting is I told everyone what I was doing. I told them that this was going to be a decolonial book that was based on the deconstruction of a lot of our social
Uh-huh.
norms. And that I was going to manage to do this subversively, and I was going to still put this out, even though that's what I was going to
Yeah.
do. And that I was going to use the money from this book in order to provide spaces for people, for marginalized people, specifically like neurodivergent
Yeah.
people, and connecting us to a return to indigenous
Yeah.
practices. And I will tell you right here and now, I released all of this on my social media in August of
Yeah.
2021. And not only did my social media get shut down, I was put in a mental institution. Let that sit for a
I mean, I
minute.
read this stuff. I didn't realize that it was the stream of events happened in this order. I wasn't aware. Wow.
So,
Wow.
so then we do it, and I had already sold the book deal because I had sold like the book proposal was very much on this idea of like, let's throw on a backpack, let's backpack, let's have fun, yay girls. But of course, my trajectory had changed. It wasn't
Mm.
subterfuge. I had just evolved as a person
Mm.
by the time we actually got to because by the time we got to that place in the span of things, I had also had to accept a different integration which was even though I had these plans did not include what it meant to be a disabled
That's
person
right.
because I had not lived as
That's
one.
right.
So the reason why I started getting kicked out of the machine in the ways that I did is because now that I was including that into the larger social integration, it was very hard for people to accept the idea that I was anything but out of, I will say, my mind. But really, what they mean is I'm out of the machine.
Absolutely.
But because I understand it too well. Because when you ask me like, how did I manage this? I was a chess grandmaster when I was in third
Yeah.
grade. That's not a
Mm,
lie.
yeah.
Like that's just these are just straight up motherfucking
Yeah.
truths. Where do you think all that intelligence went?
Yeah.
Why is it that people assume just because I've evolved in this female body
Yeah.
that the intelligence that has been integral to us as part of the species, and I mean Black
Yeah.
women, somehow dissipates just because they make us small.
Yes.
Where do they think it goes? And the thing is that because of all that time that I spent alone, meditating, not having anyone in my ear about how I did not live up to their expectations, I could see. I could see clearly. And once you can see clearly, you can see the future. Every single one of
Absolutely.
us has that
Absolutely.
capacity because you have to think about it. How in the world did our relatives make it out of what they did with no vision?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Impossible. So, um, like to be truth be told, a lot of the reason why I was able to write this book is because they underestimated me.
Child,
They underestimate us. And I am grateful. But what is gratefulness to a decolonized person is not just sitting around and winning awards and stacking my
that's right.
money and not taking care of
That's
my
right.
community. So I've now built a nonprofit that we're dealing both domestically and internationally with economic and ecological violence. So we've built an urban farm here in Kentucky. We are we just we're doing a land deal to build, like I get chills when I like, but we're doing a land deal in Colombia to build a temple consecrated to Black women
Wow.
and the intellectual pursuit of rejoining indigenous and diasporic truths together. Like we just, just got that paperwork and are like, and the goal is to turn that into you know, just a space of
Mm.
reintegration, like built, like we're building those avenues out. And then I also built out my media company where I am I'm taking submissions. So please reach out as
Yes.
CEO at thisismajor.world. I'm publishing the library of the new world. I'm starting with a book by an elder who started writing her own PhD dissertation on precognition in Black
Mm.
women, and we're combining that with some of her poetry and things. I'm looking, when I look at vision and what it means to have vision, it's in pursuit of what's
Yes.
next. If we're only looking at what's now is not
Yes.
for us. And if we're only looking at how it's been written by them, if we look at all of their structural models of where the world is, they say the world is going
Yeah,
to
they
end. The world is
they
just
don't know.
beginning because every cycle is about
That's
rebirth.
right.
Like people do not understand who I am or what I'm
Yeah.
about or what my career
Yeah.
is because they know that I have we'll say, talent to be in a different position. But it also confuses them that it's not one of those situations of the kind of person who just gets sick and
Yeah.
just dies
Yeah.
away. It's just like
How dare
it keeps coming, and every
how dare
time they're
you?
different, and I don't even know. And then sometimes it's a them and a she and a he, and then the hair is different, and then like, what the fuck? There's a new person every time. New. Sometimes there's four, sometimes there's two, sometimes like, and I'm just like, yeah, bitch. Like
Absolutely.
life is changed.
Absolutely.
Life has
I love
changed.
that. I love that.
You know, yeah, and I just and I know, don't get me wrong, it's challenging.
Absolutely.
But I'm also so grateful for it as a journey. Like I'm grateful that this is my Disney princess journey because like who else gets to be this free? Bitch, I mean I put it on the title of the book. I said how to live free and a dangerous. Bruh, what do you think I was gonna do? What did you think I was like? You really thought I was gonna be one of those bitches who writes something on the title and
And
I'm
it
not gonna
shrinks
live up to it?
away? No, you don't give shrink at all. There's nothing about this thing small or shrinkable. No. Absolutely not.
Never, never stand.
I'm
Like,
intrigued then.
but
I wanna hear from you because there are people who are starting out, and they're
mhm,
terrified, and they're especially terrified because of this public publishing industry. What this
yeah,
is the last official question, but what bit of advice would you give those Black, queer, trans, disabled, femme folk who are trying to get started and they're not all the way at living free in the dangerous world yet?
come on over. Seriously, I built a small press for this reason. And because of you, Dr. Jen, I'm actually gonna pop up a Kalindi. I am open to just talking to people one on
Okay.
one. Because I like let the revolution
Yes.
begin. I know how important your stories are. I know who you are. I know how scared you are. If I'm willing to let myself get locked up for my art to show you that you can still be the baddest bitch in
That's
the
real.
room and keep stepping, like, come on over. I'm ready to talk to you. I'm like, I want to mentor the next generation and I want to publish The Chosen.
Mm, mm.
you know? That is my job. Like I built this is major dot world. I built it off the back of, of Harriet Tubman and Toni
And your own
Morrison
labor. I
for
mean, your hard
and
labor.
I because that's something else I just want to mention. This is what I did with my book money.
Yeah.
I took This Is Major and I turned it into This Is Major dot World, a media
Wow.
company. How to Live Free in a Dangerous World, that money is helping to construct a temple to Black
I love
women
this.
in South
I love
America.
this.
Like, don't be
Yeah.
afraid. Be afraid if it gets you to the place where you are making art out of the depths of your
Yeah.
soul, but understand that art is a creative force. It is our God
Yeah.
principle. Art is faith.
I love this, and I adore you, and I'm so grateful for your energy and for your light and for your honesty here. I'm so grateful for the ways you were vulnerable and shared these stories with us so that we can live freer. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for doing that. Where can people find you? Where can they find out about your publishing house? Where can they find information about how to get tapped in?
Check out my social media. So I am the sex god at TikTok.
I know that's
Show is coming soon. That's also when I talk about art imitating life, The Sex God is my next book.
Mm,
So that's the manuscript I'm
mm.
currently working on. But again, I'm working on it as an artistic piece. So life imitating art. I'm like, if I'm gonna say I'm the sex
Go
god,
ahead
I've
and
got to
show up in your
be
you gotta just live in your truth. That's what you have to do.
just living my
That's what you
truth. And then also on IG, you can find me at Shayla Lawson. And I post I occasionally post content now because people don't want me posting shit on the internet. But you can easily find me at thisismajor.world, of which I am the CEO. So come on over, roll through. I will make sure that there is a Kalindi invite for you if you want to just have a one-on-one
Yes,
conversation that's as honest and real as possible about what publishing
yes,
is. And deeper still, if you want to look at the ways that all these tools I've used of the digital underground can make your book make you money. Because let's not play, Jen. Here's the thing. Everybody can call me as crazy as they want, but in the year of 2025, I have set up every single member of my family with a company.
mm,
And I want to do that for all of us.
absolutely.
So I really want people to stop pushing themselves away from
Yeah,
me because they think it is to their advantage to stay in the machine and stay away from someone who has gotten out of it
yeah,
so that I can get all of us out of Gehenna
yeah,
because I have a plan.
yeah.
Like, I have plans and schemes, and like, we all
I
can.
love that. I love that. I love that. So, I wanna say congratulations. We published.
Well, thank you
We
very much.
published, beloved. That's
We
we
published,
published,
beloved.
beloved. That's why I love saying it. I just like looking at another Black person and saying, "Look, hey, we published."
We
We
published.
published. We published. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jen.